Griveth, once home to the most wondrous kingdom the world had ever known, blasted to nothing in just a fortnight. It is here that the fiends of hell walk among us. It is here where all things die. Welcome to Griveth. Demon invaders roam the landscape and have conquered all. The world is a ravaged and wrathful wasteland, where the old world lies buried beneath the blood and sand with its gods and its secrets. Water is fought over with blood and steel. Compatible with the 5th edition of the world's oldest fantasy role-playing game, this book contains all new character creation options, including all of the familiar classes with new aspects befitting the ravaged wastelands of Griveth, along with new backgrounds, subclasses, spells, feats, and so much more. New races will allow you to play as the Cursed Ash Elves, the Forsaken Humans, the Primordial Incarnate, the Proud Orcs, the Reptilian Suri, or the Infernal-Blooded Tieflings. New game mechanics such as blood, grit, and effort give your games an intense focus on lethality and survival. Numerous roll tables full of ideas to help bring your games to life. Featuring incredible thematic art by Brandish Gilhelm of Runehammer Games, as well as Lloyd Collins. The people of Griveth are not heroes. In Griveth it is courage just to survive. Will you rise to face the tide of demons, or will you succumb to the hostile elements? Available now on DriveThruRPG.com.
Hi and welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, thank you so much for stopping by and for checking out this particular video. And for my usual followers and subscribers, thank you as well for taking your time today to see what's going on. For those of you who don't follow me on Twitter, you may not know that I've become a part of a group called the MUFFINS, and this is something that sort of developed all on its own. It involves myself and 2 other women. We have Eris from Eris Designs, as well as Kelly the Opera Geek. And basically, we just kind of get up to some crazy antics on Twitter with each other as well as our followers. If you're on Twitter and you have an account, just use the hashtag TerraMuffins and you'll see what I'm talking about. But anyways, these 2 women have become very good friends of mine, and we have been enjoying each other's company and just chatting with each other on a daily basis. Now, because of the camaraderie that we've developed and the fun we've been having with other people, Capri Creations took it upon himself to create this really cool design, which I'm going to show you right over here. And this is the design that has sort of started this whole thing that's going to be happening. I'm going to explain in a minute. But he was kind enough to create this for us, and he gave us clearance to use it for whatever we'd like to. However, none of us felt comfortable using it as a for-profit, for ourselves type of thing. That's where the idea came to me, where maybe we could do something that's more fundraiser based with it. And to get started, I wanted to go with a cause that is something that is rather close to home. I'm coming upon the 3-year anniversary of losing a close friend to domestic violence. Because of that, I thought it'd be appropriate that we use this particular design and the merchandise that we're offering for it as a means to raise funds to donate to a local charity in my area that helps women who have experienced domestic violence and are trying to get out and trying to improve their lives. So what we thought we'd do is share this with everyone, and from now through the month of October, all sales, the profits are going to be donated to this particular charity. I'm going to have all the information down in the link below so that for those who want to do the research can do the research and decide if this is a facility you feel you'd like to back as well. I completely respect it and I understand that you want to know where your money is going. I do the same thing. But if you would like to help us with this particular cause and support the awareness for domestic violence, please check out all the links down below. It has everything you'll need in there. If you have any questions, you can always find us on Twitter. I'll have all of our @s in the description as well. You can also email me at thecraftingmuse.email@gmail.com. Thank you so much for taking a little bit of time to watch this. I very much appreciate it. I hope you have a great day, and please consider getting yourself some Terra Muffin merchandise, and it's all for a good cause. Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Hey internets, it's Jake from Mini Terrain Domain, and this is the Sunless Citadel with some crafty individuals. Where every Thursday night we like to play a little thing called the Sunless Citadel with some good friends. The DMsCraft, Scotty, the Crafting Muse, V, Dice on Ice, Megan, and Erasmus Expeditions, Jeremy. What started as, hey, let's just play this for a couple weeks. I think they're deliberately stretching it out as long as they can, and I'm okay with that. This is, of course, a mini campaign of Sunless Citadel from the Tales from the Yawning Portal, Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition, and we're just having a blast with it. We're going to do a quick recap here in a minute. I'm going to go over the domain dice because, ooh, Chameleon fam, ooh, boy, did my voice crack on that one, has just dropped the usual 4 domain dice on you guys at the start. Talmud, he is directly trying to influence your fate. Chameleon fam, we do appreciate the support each week, and I know the players and Jeremy in particular appreciates that support. So we're going to bump them up from the 12 here to 14. You too can influence the fate of the players for just $5 per domain die or 500 bits on Twitch or YouTube through Super Chat or bits donations or even regular donations on Twitch. And they can use these domain dice to re-roll any die roll, any D20 die roll. Or they can force me, the DM, to re-roll a die roll. And they gladly use them for that. So, and also, I just want to give a huge shout out to everybody in the chat. That is one of the favorite things of all of us on this Thursday night game is we love our audience. The audience is very participatory, very much a part of this adventure. So we appreciate you regardless of what platform you're watching on, or if you're watching, later on your own time. We still appreciate you taking the time to follow along with our adventure. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have each of these amazing players introduce themselves, tell you a little bit about who they are, where you can find them on the internets, and who they are playing. And then we'll do a quick recap, and we're going to get right into the role play. Because these games, if you're new here, these games run about 2.5 hours usually. So we want to have as much time of that as we can to get into continue into the Goblin territory that they started last week. So we're going to start up here in this corner. I'm getting better at pointing the opposite direction I think I need to get to the right person. We're going to start here with V.
Hello, everyone. I am V. I have the YouTube channel, The Crafting Muse, where you can check out how to make terrains or mini terrain, as well as miniatures, as well as game accessories. Also pretty active over on Twitter. So if you're over there, make sure you follow me there, The Crafting Muse. Very hard to figure that one out. Also on Instagram, that's dash The Crafting Muse dash type of situation. I had to break it up a little bit there. But for those of you who watched the intro, I've made sure that the link is in both of the chats. I'm pointing to my screen like you can see it. So if you want to take advantage and order some merchandise for the Terra Muffins and support a really great cause during the month of October, big thumbs up to you. Thank you so much. Would very much appreciate it. And that is it for me for now. Yeah.
I didn't want to be that guy. I wore my Terra Muffin shirt last night. I didn't want to wear it again on stream, but I guess I could. I could be like Bill.
You wanted us to know that you showered.
Bill has a performance shirt that he always wears. He's talked about before.
Right?
But I should hang it up in the back here so it's clearly visible. But I immediately went out and bought a Terra Muffin shirt that I wear proudly on stream and out in the real world and tell people what Terra Muffins are.
And people really like the quality of them too. That's what I keep hearing.
And it's a great design by Kepri Creations.
Oh, he did a great job with it.
Fantastic job. Yeah. All right, Jeremy, tell us about you.
Hey everybody, my name is Jeremy. I like rolling thunderstorms and tea. No, I have a YouTube channel called the Erasmus Expeditions. I have live plays and things like that, and talk about gaming in general. Have some crafting videos I've been putting up. I do intend to put some more up. I am also 1/3 of the Dudes of Yore podcast with my buddies Jeff Doty and Chad Nick, also to be found on YouTube. So yeah, I am playing Talmud the Unlucky, the Dwarven barbarian who sometimes his dice are trying to kill him more than the monsters. But I think maybe the Fates have something interesting in store tonight.
And if you be sure to head over to Erasmus Expedition, check out all their social media, all their YouTube channels, and subscribe and follow them. But if you check out Erasmus Expedition, subscribe sometime in the next month or two, I am going to be playing in a monthly campaign. I'm very excited about with some really immersive role players, and Jeremy is a fantastic DM that I've gotten to play with a couple times. So we'll be you'll be able to see me over there along with some other great role players. Next up, Megan.
Hi, I'm Megan. I am one half of the YouTube channel Dice on Ice, and we do live plays. And as of last night, we just dropped the intro for the new series that is coming to Dice on Ice, which is an animated series on DMing tips and so on. So if you like that kind of thing, go check it out. And yeah, tonight I will be playing Vi. Yeah, very excited.
Yeah, and if you check out the Dice on Ice channel on YouTube, flip through their videos, you're gonna find me there a few times as well. Megan is my favorite DM when it comes to the spooky and the visceral horror. She's just she can really nail that subject matter, whether it's sci-fi, fantasy, modern, whatever it may be, and I love playing in those games. And last but certainly not least is the craft father himself, Mr. Scotty.
Hey. Thank you. DM Scotty here. I have a channel called theDMsCraft, and I used to war game, and we started D&Ding again, and I wanted to add terrain to it, and so I started seeing what I could do, just throw junk together and what I could make out of junk, and it caught on, and now there's a huge YouTube community. There's many other crafters that have taken in other directions. Also, we have the Tabletop Crafters Guild, which is on Facebook. So if you're interested in crafting, all kinds of great ideas on there. Make sure to join that. The links are below my video, so you can find all this stuff. Just type in the DM's Craft in any browser, you'll find us. You'll find me. So yeah, I'm back again with Griveth Langsmore, and he is a paladin, and he's coming into his own here. We just turned 3rd level last game, so the holy power is flowing into him, and he's having a bit of a difficulty dealing with that. So we'll see how this goes with this game, and I'm excited again to play too. So let's hit it.
All right. So at the beginning, we had the 4 characters introduced in the town of Oakhurst, where Talmud had been a resident, kind of hanging out, just kind of showed up one day for less than a couple months. Cantriel had been there a few months longer, had been performing in the local establishment. Griveth had been assisting Corky, the gnomish cleric, at the local shrine, and had been in town for about a year, administering health and aid to the locals. And then Vi has been a resident of this region for 15 years. So they all have varying levels of experience in and around the town. 2 mysteries popped up. The local merchant, Carolyn Hucreely, her son and her daughter, Telgin and Sharwin Hucreely, had taken up with some adventurers and have been missing for a couple months, suspected to have disappeared into the so-called Sunless Citadel. Also, there's, for about 12 years, once, sometimes twice a year, usually at midsummer and occasionally at midwinter, a goblin emissary shows up with a magical, perfect apple that can be used in various recipes or just eaten by itself to cure diseases and restore people from sickness. The townspeople gather their money, they pay for this, but they've never been able to grow trees from the seeds because they always disappear. This is the second mystery. It happened upon a midsummer's morn that the bells chimed, the emissary showed up, the town bought the apple, and the party said, hey, follow that goblin. And very quickly they found themselves descending into the darkness, with Talmud, the club-footed trap activator, quickly finding all the traps for them as they chose their path and found themselves in the company of kobolds who had their dragon wormling, Kelstrix, stolen by the goblins. They are now bringing the forlorn kobold Meepo along with them as they continue to try to solve these two mysteries and have taken up the side quest of trying to recover Kelstrix, the dragon wormling, from the goblins. In our last episode, they followed a path that led straight into a room containing a poisoned fountain that, rather than filling with water, filled the area with gas. Fortunately, they were mostly safe from that. They did have to fight a very swollen and disgusting diseased mama rat and several giant rats along the way. They moved back out of that area, realizing... Oh, and while they were in there, they found a dead humanoid, a member of the missing adventuring party. But it was not either of the two they were looking for. They retreated back to a safe haven to take a short rest. And they're feeling a little bit inspired in their various ways as they find themselves growing in their abilities and their knowledge. And that is where we pick up now with these four adventurers with their kobold companion, who Meepo is just kind of sitting in this alcove, kind of leaning near. He's close to all of you, but not too close. You can sense every once in a while, every few minutes, he seems to kind of scoot a little bit closer towards. Let's see, who is he taking up with? It looks like he's really kind of liking Talmud, as he just seems to kind of sidle up closer to you. And otherwise, he's just picking up pieces of debris and just kind of throwing them. You have a door to the west that you had previously chosen not to open. You do have, in the room that's south of you, you found the fountain that filled with the red liquid that I believe Vi now has a vial of, that you know is a potion of fire breath. There is a door in that room that had a dragon relief carving on it that felt very cold in the area of the door. But you are in the room north of that with the wooden door. What would you like to do?
Everyone all rested and refreshed?
Well, I don't know if I'd say refreshed exactly. There's not a lot of to drink around here.
Well, at least not feeling close to death's door.
Yes, that's true. Most of my wounds seem to be knitted. I think I could probably press on if I were forced to.
What about the other two?
The quicker we can get out of this place and back to town, the better. There are far too many rodents.
And some sunshine wouldn't hurt, that's for sure.
But
I'm sorry.
oh, sorry. She's but I do believe it is time to press on.
You see Griveth, and he had done the little shrine thing, with the body and everything, and Cantriel had noticed that there was something changed about him, but you also noticed that he's kind of sweating profusely, like perspiration is dripping down his forehead, and he's kind of bent over in this weird prayer, and he's like kind of rocking back and forth, and he looks up, and it's like almost someone you don't recognize, right, in his face, and like his eyes, that light that was back behind that was in his eyes is kind of glowing more and more, and his eyes are almost luminous, and suddenly he grabs his shield and stands up and whips his mace or his morning star up into like a fighting position facing you guys, and he says, "Heretics, stand your ground!"
Ahmood kind of looks down at the salted pork from his ration. I think maybe his rations had gone bad or something.
This isn't the rations. Trust me on this one. Griveth, darling, snap out of it.
He seems to be trying to fight something inside of him. He's almost he's still sweating, and he says the name. He says Griveth. He says Griveth. Yes, that's who I am.
Cantriel's gonna walk over to him and kind of like cup his face in her hands. If you're not Griveth all the time, who are you right now?
I don't know.
Best collect yourself, because we need to get moving.
I'm sorry, I don't know what happened there.
We all have our moments. You feel more right yourself now?
I think I do.
All right.
I was overcome.
Well, clearly something got into you. As to what the thing was, I'm thinking we'll probably find out later, maybe.
Well, hopefully it's not in the middle of battle whenever we figure it out.
Or maybe we do want it in the middle of battle based upon what he just did, because you never know.
As long as he's swinging in the right direction, aye.
We'll turn him if he's not.
What? Fine.
Are you suggesting we continue on with him like this?
We really have much of an option at this point.
He's like, I'm all right, I'm okay. And kind of the light in the eyes kind of dims, goes back, recesses. I don't know what happened to me there.
Are you dreaming?
Maybe. I don't remember anything.
Would you like something to drink? You're a little moist.
Yeah, please. And he quaffs it down, and he's like, yeah, let's continue. I'm fine. It's all right. I'm fine. It's me. I'm Griveth.
Talmud, you can feel the tight grip of Meepo clinging to your leg as he's kind of hiding behind you, since Griveth kind of stood up, and you can feel his claws just sort of digging into your thigh as he's peering out from behind you.
Oh, hey, loosen up a little bit. There's no reason for that.
He doesn't say anything, but he kind of loosens his grip, but he kind of stays behind you.
Yeah, it was like he was possessed. He wasn't speaking in his normal voice. It was this really weird, deep voice.
I'm going to lean over.
Sure... Oh, sorry.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
And you're sure you're okay now?
Yeah, something came over me. I'm fine. You're not quite sure if he is or not.
Yeah, I want to make an insight check against him just to see whether he is letting on more than, or he's not letting on what he knows, or if he's very confused, or just getting the genuineness of him.
All right, roll insight.
21.
Are you
Should I
being
roll
genuine,
anything to-
Griveth? Or
Should I roll anything to oppose?
if you are trying to be deceptive, then yeah.
Okay, I won't roll.
It's with a roll like that, it's basically up to you to.
Yeah. Okay.
She senses something. If you're not actively being deceptive, then
Right. She didn't feel he was trying to be deceptive. She does feel that he's maybe lying about being in control.
I think Vi would just nod slowly, but you can see in her eyes that she's very, very suspicious. And there's something else as well, just almost fear, but an understanding as well. All right, well, I guess we should get going then. Where are we going?
We're supposed to be going after the dragon, remember? You're supposed to help Meepo find Cowswicks.
Which we're going to do. Not to worry, little one.
Well, we have this door here, and then there's at least one, or maybe three, back the other way we came.
Well, shall we just have at it and see what's behind door number 1?
It's worked out well so far.
Well, clearly for you a couple times, hasn't it?
Yes.
Well,
Thank you.
let's check the door first.
That's what I was going to say. It might be good to give it a good once over before we touch anything or poke anything or step upon anything.
Anywhere near anything.
Breathe near anything. Say anything.
Let me take a wild guess. Who it is that you'd like to go take this look?
Well, I mean, you are our lucky charm, aren't you?
All
You've
right.
been doing so well. You've kept the rest of us alive.
And we've kept you alive in return. Cantriel puts her hand on his shoulder and she leans over. She goes, I know you can do this. And she gives him a bit of bardic inspiration.
Hey. All right. So I will go to the door and I will percept. Or whatever.
investigate the door.
Investigation. Ooh, that's one of my good ones.
Can we help him?
Yeah, somebody can help him. You can roll with advantage. As from afar, the party is looking over, going, "No, check over. Don't forget the hinges."
Drivers. Oh God, it begins. All right. Your bardic inspiration is a D6. Cantriel, is that right? Okay.
Yep.
Oh, jeez. All right, so that's going to be a 7 total with advantage and bardic inspiration. I'll come to Thursday.
As far as you can tell, there is no sign of any trap on this door.
It looks perfectly safe. He's going to reach out for the handle.
As soon as you touch the handle and turn the knob, you hear a click as the latch releases and the door opens.
As he's doing that, Cantriel takes almost like an inadvertent step back just from everything that's happened.
I feel like everybody in unison just kind of went.
Yeah, just from experience, everybody just kind of inadvertently steps back, not even realizing what they're doing.
Everybody's kind of wincing. All right, yes.
He opens the door, kind of wincing himself, and then he kind of turns around. See, I don't understand why you were so worried. You're a bunch of ninnies.
5, 6, 7, 8.
You walk into the room. Oh, it is one of our other friends and one of the players from the Dragon game last night, JT D&D DM. has just dropped 500 bits over on Twitch. So we're going to bump you guys up to 15 domain dice. As you head into Talmud, you've opened the door to a room that is 20 feet by 20 feet, smooth stone walls, smooth stone floor, much cleaner than the room you are coming from with debris everywhere. The walls and the floor in this room appear as though they are sparkling clean.
Immediately I look up.
You're not in there yet. Talmud's standing in the door. Talmud, do you walk in?
Talmud, remembering the room that looked like this previously, is going to hesitate at the doorway. And then he, too, will turn his eyes towards the ceiling.
Up in the ceiling with your dark vision, you can see about 15 feet up the equally clean, bare ceiling. There doesn't appear to be anything up there.
Well, I don't think there's another one of those jelly cubes or whatever you call it in here, but the room is kind of strangely clean, like that the other room was, where we found the square with the bones in it.
Which is always just ever so reassuring.
Talmud, back out.
There is a door in this room to the north.
Oh.
I forgot to mention that.
Okay.
I'm like, wait, why are they leaving my room?
It was in the dark, but now I can see it. It's right over there.
Yeah, it's a little bit off to the left side of the north wall, but yes, there's another wooden door in the north wall.
So a clean room with a door on the other side. This doesn't sound the least bit suspicious ever.
So, are we pressing forward, or are we going a different direction?
Well, I guess we tally ho and move it on.
All right. He kind of takes a deep breath. And then he steps into the room.
All right, you're in the room. Nothing happens.
I will cross to the other door.
Every step he takes, why do I feel like we're all like breathing a sigh of relief behind him?
All right.
Still standing back where you were when I opened the door.
No, it's like a little, like probably like a couple feet behind you, just in case something, jumps out.
You just see like 3 heads peering out of the.
Like in
side of the
very
door.
Scooby-Doo, they're like stacked. There's Meepo on the bottom.
Oh, it's perfect.
Or inexplicably, Meepo's the highest head as they peer around the corner.
Yes, that's even better.
All right.
Do we have the all clear?
You've walked across the room. You're standing at the other door. What would you like to do?
He's going to start kind of examining it to make sure that it may not be trapped.
All right. Investigation check.
I'm good at these. Here we go. It's even better than the first. I'm going to use a domain die. Thank you, Chameleon. Well, that's 4 times better than it was. That's a 7. Again.
All right. You look this door over, and much like the last one, you don't see anything to indicate any kind of trap.
This one also. Wait. It's fine. Come on.
But just
Up here?
Sure. You never know. Not like you don't have a history of it in the past, the very recent past. So I'm going to move into the room too, but I've kind of taken my new bow and I have it like drawn and ready, and I'm just like looking.
Vi is going to go up to one of the walls and just kind of ever so slightly just brush it with her hands. How do they feel? Are they cold, warm, wet, dry?
Cool.
Anything?
Cool, dry stone. Give me... which wall are you going to? Just cardinal directions. You guys came in through the east wall.
The east wall. And the other door is
The door is on the north wall.
north. I think that she would go like on the north, just kind of on the north wall, just feeling it.
Okay. Yeah, you feel that the walls are very smooth, dry, cool to the touch, like cool stone. Yep.
Maybe the goblins hired a cleaning lady and she's only gotten a chance to do the one room.
Well, it is true. We haven't exactly seen the goblin side of things so much as the kobolds' methods of keeping things organized.
I've never seen a clean goblin lair in my life.
Grasping at straws, obviously. Do I see any runic markings on this side or anything like that?
Which side are you looking at?
I'm looking over at the west wall, based upon how we entered.
Give me a... Nothing is obvious, but give me an investigation.
Okay. And that's going to be a 14.
As you're just kind of looking along the smooth wall. Are you like tracing your fingers along it, or just kind of
We're just looking at it, like just seeing if I can see anything, not necessarily touching anything.
Okay. So as you walk over to the wall and you're just kind of looking at it, and you're doing that kind of shifting your head, to kind of catch, as Griveth is the one, I believe, who's been holding the torch for the humans. And you're looking, to see if the torch light is playing off, showing any like shallow markings or anything like that.
Can I cast light?
You can.
So I'm going to cast light so that we just have light around us. So I'm going to...
What are you going to cast it on?
That's what I was just thinking. I will cast it on Griveth's... What do you have again? The Morning Star? Right?
Muted, Scotty.
Or you could cast it on my shield.
Oh, yeah, I'll cast it on his shield. So I'll cast light on his shield so we have an hour's worth of light.
Awesome, thank you.
Excellent. The light, the room becomes illuminated in a brighter white light. It's a little bit brighter than the torch. Shadows are a little bit deeper as it kind of moves with Griveth. Again, you get a little bit better look at the wall, and you don't see any runes, but as you're leaning in and looking, you see what looks like a thin line leading from floor to ceiling, and at the same moment, you feel the stone tile under your foot shift just a minuscule amount, and you hear click.
Damn.
And then you hear...
I found some...
As this stone wall that you are looking at slowly begins to move closer to you.
The room's getting slightly smaller.
And based on the positioning of the door on the north wall, you have about 10 seconds to decide if you're going to go through that door before the stone wall is blocking it.
All right, make your decision now. Do we go through the north or do we go out the door?
Just for the record, this was not me.
No, it was not. It was me. I fully owe up to it.
North!
Let's go. Not
Go.
north. Go, go, go.
So you all run into the room.
Sure, why not?
Who's first through? Talmud, you were right at the door. You throwing it open and...
Yep, that would be me.
As you open the door, suddenly, you hear, as the door swings open into the room, you hear, like walking into a shop. And you get into the room. Everybody runs into the room, and you immediately As you shut the door, I don't know, do you shut the door behind you, or who's the last one through?
I'm assuming I am from where I was standing. I think at this point, yeah, I'd probably try and shut it before the wall slams into it.
The bell rings again. As you head into the room, I need from all of you a dexterity saving throw.
Is this something that my danger sense would kick in for? If I can see it.
It says a threat that you can see, right?
Yes, I believe that's basically the wording.
So I'm gonna make you make a. Actually, I want to know what's your passive perception, because you guys were under duress running through that door.
Yeah, it's a 12.
Okay, yes. So I believe that gives you advantage on it.
It does, yes.
Okay. So yeah, everybody roll dexterity, and tell me what you got.
12 for me.
20.
5.
13.
Reroll.
Oh, you know what? Meepo needs to roll. Meepo failed his with a 4. All right, so who rolled under 15? So Griveth, Vi, Talmud, and Meepo, as you all run into the room, and Cantriel, you're the last one to come in, and they're suddenly yelling as they just kind of, you each feel some kind of sharp barb pierce into your foot, and you stop moving. Talmud, you see it. Your danger sense kind of pricked up, and you just couldn't stop in time. Meepo, immediately next to you, is grabbing his foot, going, ow, 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 dancing in a circle. You all take 1 point of piercing damage as you realize, Talmud, and Cantriel, as you come in and slam the door with the bell chiming, that this entire room, which is about 10 feet wide and 20 feet long, with a low wall at the 20-foot mark. It's like a poorly mortared wall that looks like it was kind of built in place, and then the room extends on another 15 feet beyond that. But this whole area, this 10-foot by 20-foot area, caltrops everywhere. Little kind of three-sided spiky barbs that they're bent iron, so that no matter how they land, there's always one piece of iron that's sharp and sticking up. And for Meepo and the other 3 of you, you all have one of these piercing through your boot and into your foot. So Meepo is down a hit point. All right, what are you doing?
I am too old for this.
Oh, you just went Murtaugh. I'm getting too old for this shit.
And she lifts up her boot and just yanks out the caltrop and kind of tosses it.
I'm going to take my bow and kind of just see if they can be swept out of the way. Is that a possibility?
There, as I said, the entire floor is covered with them. If you take some time, you could. How would you go about sweeping them?
Take the arched part of my bow and just kind of see if I can move it along the line of the floor to pile them together. Or are they embedded into the floor is what I'm trying to figure out.
No, the way they're basically, for all intents and purposes, and I think Alex C in the YouTube chat said that's where all my D4s went. They're essentially like D4s. They're gonna lay flat with a point always sticking up.
Okay. But they're not attached to the floor.
They're not attached to the floor. They're basically a kind of thing that somebody, it looks like goblins probably just threw them all over the floor. So it'll take you, I'll say that if you want to try to do that, it's going to take you a good 5 minutes using your bow to kind of clear a path. of safety, but you can do it between here and the mortared wall.
It's obvious someone doesn't want us to go this way, but must not be a way that they use, because why would they fill the room if they use this passage?
Unless there's something behind it they don't want others to get to.
That's a good point. So what if we drag our feet? Like, like you don't lift your feet up, you just kind of drag.
Shuffle?
Yeah, can you shuffle through them without...
Well, I mean, Cantriel's already kind of cleared a path for you guys.
Oh, okay. Never mind.
But, I mean, you can take extra precautions. At this point, you all know they're there now. And by her taking the time to clear them, you don't have any difficult terrain penalties. You can move through the area, single file, to the low wall, which is the only way to go, if that's where you'd like to go. Is that what you guys are doing? And actually, the caltrops are not, as I said, they're not attached. So, if you wanted to, you could take
collect
some.
some? Ooh.
All told, there's a couple hundred caltrops laying on the floor. So,
Yeah, I could see Cantriel picking up a few and kind of pocketing them. You never know when these might come in handy for someone else as opposed to ourselves.
they're in standard adventuring gear. Typically, they come in a bag of 20. So realistically, if anybody that wants to, I'll say that you guys can grab 20 caltrops. So if you do that, just add them to your inventory. But I'm going to say that it takes you another 5 minutes. So you guys end up spending about 10 minutes in this room. Being understandably cautious of the 200 spiky barbs strewn across the floor. So yeah, after about 10 minutes, the path is cleared. Caltrops are picked up. I'll say that Meepo also grabbed some. And your only way forward is you can see that there's on the other side of the wall, there's a room that is about 15 feet by 15 feet. The continuation of this room, and there is the remains of in the northwest corner. There's the remains of a fire and a couple of filthy sleeping like bedrolls around the fire pit. That's all you can see from here.
Are there more caltrops between here and the fire?
No. There's this mortared wall that's about 3 feet tall. If you go over the wall, the other side, there's no caltrops on the floor.
Oh, I see. So the mortared wall it completely divides the room.
Yeah, so you're in this, essentially you're in a 10-foot by 20-foot hallway that the end of it was blocked by this mortared wall. And then the room had an extra 15 by 15 area attached to it that kind of extends an extra 5 feet to the west.
Okay. Is there a door?
Not that you can see from where you are, unless you go into the room. You cannot see the southwest corner.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, Talmud will climb over the wall. And as long as nothing stops him from doing so, he's going to go over to the fire and kind of place the back of his hand kind of close to the coal bed and kind of wave it back and forth just to see.
The room is basically shaped like that.
Gotcha. Okay.
The coals, the coal bed does have some warmth to it.
It hasn't been long since somebody has been here.
And you can see now that there is a door in the southwest corner that heads south.
And there's another door here in the corner.
Find a door to go through another door. Find a door to go through another door. I'm noticing a trend.
You haven't been in a lot of dwarven places, have you?
I tend to stay more outside where it's nice and open and wild.
Ugh.
We're lucky the goblins aren't here. Wonder where they went.
Well, chances are through that door. Shall we?
Seems we shall.
It's the only way. I think if we go through it, I think Vi is going to start marking the doors that they go through, just because it's starting to get, like, they're starting to get deeper. There's not as, so she's going to take, I don't know if she would have chalk, but I'm sure she has something in there, whether it's staining berries or something like that.
You have established that you have berries kind of in your... you have some natural things like berries and things like that. You've established that. So I'd say, yeah, you could use some crushed berries to make markings.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm going to just alley up myself over the divide and meet up with Talmud at the door.
All right.
Same.
It's another wooden door with iron banding.
So help me God if this thing rings when we open it.
Talmud, are you the designated door checker?
I guess I am gonna
Do the mandatory door check.
that -1.
Well, he's the dwarven architecture expert, so
I'll go ahead and try again here.
We're helping, so advantage.
Okay, thank you. Guess that's just rolled a 1. Oh god.
you need to burn those dice and fast.
Dice. Okay.
You need a dice jail.
All right. So, yeah, I'm gonna burn a die. I hate doing this on doors.
All right, so burning a domain die, dropping you down to 13.
And do I roll with advantages on the second one?
Sure. I haven't really established how that works with advantage and disadvantage, so it's just a reroll.
All right. Well, at least the die was a double digit this time, so that's a 9 total.
Wait. So Talmud has a negative modifier.
I have a -1 on investigation for some reason.
Well, that would have been nice to know it ahead of time.
Did you guys not realize I was terrible at that?
I didn't realize it was that terrible on top of
All
how
right.
terribly rolling the dice.
It's
Talmud,
taken us this long to realize how bad you are at actually finding the trap.
Talmud, you feel like you're getting pretty good at this. There's no trap on this.
Melt it down. They must have used all of the traps already.
Yep, looks all clear to you.
Open it up. He's gonna freeze.
You Pavloving us.
As you open the door and you freeze, with your dark vision, you can see that there is, for about 10 feet, the door opens up into a very narrow 5-foot hallway. And you can see to your right, which would be to the west, that the room kind of opens up. And you can just glimpse that there's debris and there's a scent in the air of primarily kind of like a foul body odor. But that's all you can see and sense from here.
Talmud is going to kind of look back at whoever's standing closest to him. Probably, gathered tighter together at the door to go through. He's going to kind of wrinkle his nose, but not say anything.
I know that's not you.
No, me? No. I told you already.
That's what I said. I know it's not you. It's a new smell. You have your own distinct pungency.
So Talmud is going to step through the door cautiously and kind of use the bottom of the hilt of Gerta to kind of poke at some of this debris from a little bit of a distance.
So, as you move in closer towards the debris, you have to walk in probably about 10 feet to be able to get to where the debris is. You can now kind of see to your right that the room opens up another 20 feet and appears to disappear. The wall that's to your right appears to have the room extend back on the other side of that. And as you're heading towards the debris, you can see that all along this southern wall to the right are three kind of crude, basically they look kind of like very crudely made straw men that resemble caricatures of humans and elves. They have very crude target zones painted on them, and there are several black arrows sticking out of these targets. They look kind of like target practice dummies. The debris is just random bits of hay, some cloth. Now that you're closer, you can see that it's not any kind of particular. It's not like built up like something could be hiding under it.
Well, it looks like our goblin friends are not exactly keen on the taller folk. And he kind of points them out.
I think that'd be a safe thing to say. It's a rather creepy effect.
Don't see any goblin archers. That's a plus, I suppose.
If they start dancing, I'm leaving.
Do they seem to be any kind of totems or anything like that?
The scarecrow things?
Yeah.
They look like target practice dummies.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
So are you going any further into the room, Talmud?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it seems safe enough. You said you didn't mention any other exits, right?
Well, from here, all you can see is you have to
Okay.
kind of close that last few feet to actually be able to see around the wall and back into the rest of the room.
You definitely will.
Griveth, a little light maybe might be helpful at this point.
Are we kind of like moving in a tight unit?
It's a 5-foot hall through the door, so you kind of don't have a choice.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, I'm definitely with Talmud.
All right. So you kind of make your way in a little bit more, and you can now see, and Griveth, as you kind of swing your light around, you can see that there's an additional. Basically, the room kind of backs towards the north. So you've got these three targets sitting here on the south wall. The room extends for about 25 feet to the north, and you can see another 3-foot mortared wall. And beyond that, you can just kind of make out there's some more space in there. I believe your light the light spell only extends 20 feet, correct?
Well,
so
it's 20 feet bright light and then 20
Right.
additional feet more of
So-
a dimmer.
For you, Griveth, in that dim light, and the same with Vi as you come around, you can kind of see this in the space beyond. You can sort of make out that there might be a door or something there. There's definitely a door on the west wall. And there's a few, maybe a half a dozen of these black arrows scattered across the floor. It definitely looks like this was some kind of a practice range. What is everybody's passive perception?
16.
12.
13.
15.
Hold on, where did it go? 1 second. Sorry. I need to know if, let's see, that's 17. Does that hit you, Vi?
Yes.
I believe a 12 misses Griveth. A 14, does that hit Cantriel? And a 7 is going to miss Talmud. Griveth, there's a clang as an arrow ricochets off of your shield. Talmud, you hear the whistle of an arrow sing past your ear and slam into one of the scarecrows. Vi and Cantriel, you each get hit by an arrow. And Vi, you are going to take 3 points of piercing damage. Cantriel, you take 7.
Hold on. Who are either of you guys hurt? You're all rested up, right? Okay, I'm going to try to deflect the shot off of Vi with my shield.
All right, so that imposes disadvantage.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So the disadvantage, the second roll, the first roll was a 13, which made it it was a 14 total, so it was a 10. The second roll was a 17, so it would still hit her. You're just not quite fast enough as you try to dodge over and protect her. So, Cantriel, you take 7 points of piercing damage as this arrow hits you. And in the light of your shield, Griveth, you see 4 goblins peering over that mortared wall. All of them with short bows in hand. And I would like you all to roll for initiative. They had a tremendous stealth roll, so I don't think anybody's passive was going to hit them or spot them. Let's see. So that's all right. So Griveth,
12. Oops, sorry.
let's see. Griveth is a 12. Cantriel,
9.
Vi,
11.
Talmud,
A 10.
wow. Somebody roll initiative for Meepo. Talmud, Meepo's your buddy, so he kind of buddied up to you. So I'm gonna have you roll stuff for Meepo tonight.
Okay, he got an 11 on the die.
So he's so Meepo's gonna go first. Followed by Griveth, Vi, Talmud, the Goblins, and Cantriel. All right, Meepo, you can already hear as this happened. Meepo kind of emerges from behind you, Talmud, and you hear that as he's firing up his sling. Go ahead and roll an attack roll. And add 4 to it.
So he rolled a 19. Apparently he's going to get all of
Figures you can roll great for Meepo.
So that's a 23 for Meepo the Killer.
All right, go ahead and roll 1d4 and add 2 to it. And tell me what you get. That's Meepo's damage for his sling.
Okay, he got 4 points of damage total.
All right, I'm going to say he went for this one. You kind of hear this as he hits one of the goblins. Griveth, you're up.
All right, so close enough to the wall to get to it, right?
Yeah, that wall is, all right, I'm at the critical mass point where I have too many things in front of me. Let's see, from where you guys were, oh yeah, the wall is only about 15 feet away from you.
Okay, so I kind of holler to draw attention to me. It's like and kind of run up as frighteningly as I can, and then just try to swing my Morning Star down and get one of these goblins between the wall and my Morning Star.
All right. Go ahead and roll the attack. Because, yeah, you run right up to this wall, and you're lighting the area. It's another 3-foot wall. It has these, like, rough crenellations to it. But with your light now shining all through the area, you can clearly see... the 4 goblins back there. So what do you got for the attack?
That was 21.
Yeah, you absolutely can hit one of the goblins.
6 points of damage.
You bring your Morning Star in an arc overhead, and it just thunks right into this goblin's head, and you just watch as his eyes kind of... And as you pull it away, you hear the clatter of his bow hit the ground, and then he just crumples like a sack of potatoes as you just took out one of the goblins.
1 down.
Let's see. That is Vi. You're up next.
Vi is going to start running towards this wall, and she is going to try and... It's only 3 feet, right?
Yep.
So, okay.
Yep.
So she's going to use her quarterstaff to try and kick off over top of it to be on the other side of them.
You can try to basically like vault over it.
Mm-hmm.
Athletics or acrobatics? Your choice.
I'll do acrobatics. That's a 13.
What is your strength score?
11?
Not your modifier, your strength.
11?
Okay. Yeah. You are able to you kind of suddenly just sprint up toward this wall, and well, I'll let you describe it because you do it successfully. What is it?
Okay.
What does it look like as this older human woman suddenly does this?
You see that she begins to run towards the wall, and she uses the quarterstaff quite heavily to plant it into the ground and to use it as kind of a way to help her kick off that in the wall. She grabs onto it and kind of stands a bit on the top of the wall and then jumps down with her quarterstaff in hand. That took a lot out of her, though. She's kind of breathing pretty hard.
I'm only counting that as your movement to get over the wall, so you do still have an action.
Okay, and then she's just going to whack a goblin.
All right. Go ahead and make the attack.
16 to hit.
That hits.
And that is 8 points of damage.
You thwack as soon as you you land, and you're a bit winded. There's, I imagine, just a couple quick breaths, and then there's that whistling sound of your staff through the air as you smack the goblin in the head, and you just see a spray of blood along the wall as he just kind of slams into it and just slides down the wall. Another goblin dead. And let's see. So the one of the goblins is kind of standing there, very nervously trying. He's backed against the wall. He's very nervously trying to, like, you see him just trying to knock an arrow. The other one is just kind of looking like this. Talmud, it's your turn.
So Talmud is going to follow suit with Vi, and he's going to run and pull like this vaulting maneuver off, hopefully.
Athletics or acrobatics, Talmud?
Athletics it will be.
As a reminder, you have 13 domain dice at your disposal.
I am sitting pretty, I think, with a 16, so I'm going to roll with that.
And what's your strength score?
My strength is a 17.
Oh, yeah. It's surprisingly, even with your shorter stature as a dwarf, you have no problem. How does it look as the stout Talmud charges this wall and vaults over it?
I think he runs forward, and I almost think he just takes like a CrossFit jump, straight from the ground, just gaining as much height as he can with the power of his legs, and he basically gets most of the way over, places his offhand onto the side, and uses that to just kind of get him the rest of the way over, and then kind of hops down to the other side with Gerta in his hand.
All right. So you still have your attack action.
An attack he will. He's going to go over to one of the goblins, and he's going to recklessly attack. Oh, I think I can do that out of rage. Sorry, hang on, please.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I think you can.
Yep. It doesn't say anything about rage, so I'm going to do that. So that's still only going to be a 14.
Okay. You swing around with Gertha, and the goblin that's fumbling to knock an arrow just suddenly ducks, and Gertha just misses his head, and you slam Gertha into the crudely mortared wall, and you knock one of the loose crenellations right off. Cantriel, a big chunk of rock, comes skidding across the floor towards you, but it's not a threat. The goblin that you just missed drops his bow completely, and as he comes up out of a crouch, you just see, Talmud, a flash of steel as he attempts to slice at you with his scimitar, and that is going to be... Ooh.
He has advantage.
Oh, because that's a 19 on the first roll. Not a 19 on the die. So that's a 23 to hit.
It barely hits me.
As he just kind of lunges up with his scimitar, and you take 4 points of slashing damage. The other goblin is close enough to you, Griveth, that as he turns to head toward the door in the west wall, you get an opportunity attack on him. He's attempting to bolt from the room.
Oh, no, you don't, little one. That's a 14.
As he's running toward the door, he just turns away from you, and you swing around with your Morning Star, and he just goes into a tumble and ducks right underneath it. He comes up as your Morning Star thwack into the wood of the door. He just kind of looks up at you, and he opens the door, pulling it shut behind him as he disappears from the room.
Oh, I'm sorry, my friends. I missed him. Quick little bugger.
So there's now just one goblin in the room, and it's Cantriel's turn. It's the goblin that just stabbed Talmud.
I'm going to try and shoot it with my new bow and an arrow. All right, that's going to be 15.
That just hits.
Just hits. Okay, cool. So then we're getting 4 points piercing.
Talmud, you see as the goblin that just sliced at you and is he's looking feral and like, hey, maybe I gotta a chance here. Suddenly, he doesn't go down, but an arrow is in his shoulder. It's Meepo's turn. Meepo is going to charge the wall behind you, Talmud. And he is going to attempt to vault over the wall like you did. So I would like a dexterity, an acrobatics check. So what do you get on the dice?
He's got a 10 showing.
So that's going to be a 12. So Meepo kind of goes running across the room, passing by Cantriel. He jumps up onto the... And I think the only reason he's able to make this, Talmud, is because with Gerta, you knocked a chunk of the wall out. He puts his foot up in that space where that crenellation was, and he leaps off with a dagger in his hand as he's leaping for this goblin that is attacking you. And I would like you to make an attack roll for Meepo.
No, Meepo, don't kill him.
He gets advantage because you are his pack.
No, Meepo, don't kill him.
I'm going to say, as Griveth is yelling at him, in slow motion, Meepo's like this. Ah! What? So take away that advantage. And make the attack. Just straight up.
The second die was the worst of the two. And he rolled an 18 on the first one.
So that is the die we'll use since it was the first one you rolled.
Right.
So go ahead and roll a d4. There is a chance, Griveth, that he doesn't strike with enough power.
Okay, he rolled a d2, or he rolled 2 on the die, so I think that's a 4 total.
He comes down, still kind of looking at you, Griveth, like, what? And the dagger hits the goblin in the throat. And Meepo, with the weight of him coming down, slices into him. And the goblin quickly and falls over in a gurgling, dying mess. As Meepo kind of looks at his bloody dagger and looks around at all of you. Meepo! Sorry, that sounded like a Muppet. Good Lord. Meepo! He kind of looks all around at you all and he goes, Meepo, bad luck. Apparently, I've completely lost Meepo's voice. What the heck happened? Meepo, bad luck.
You are bad luck, Meepo. The best kind of bad luck. He'll extend his fist kind of towards him.
He immediately cowers.
No, it's never mind.
You don't hit Meepo. Meepo, bad luck.
Meepo, fist bump.
Of all the time not to have bad luck.
Meepo looks at you, Cantriel, and goes,
Bump his fist to your fist.
a tiny scaled fist very tentatively reaches out, Talmud.
Yeah, just like that. Just a little bump.
You are now out of combat. There are 3 dead gobos at your feet.
The arrow that struck Cantriel, is that something that's like, sticking out of her shoulder, or did it graze her?
Oh no, it's stuck in you. With that 7 points of damage, you've got
That's what I was wondering.
You've got an arrow sticking out of your. We'll say. Actually, you know what? I have. Where did it? Oh, I took it out last night for that game. I have a body hit die. There it is. We're gonna see where that arrow hit you.
Left leg, kneecap.
It's in your right arm.
Okay, great. Vi, darling, you think you might be able to help out with this new accessory I have here?
I can pull it out. I've done it many times in battle.
Or you can push it through. Sometimes that's the
The
best.
fastest way.
All right. Are you ready, Cantriel? This is gonna
Well,
hurt.
it's got to come out now, doesn't it?
It's gonna hurt.
All right.
All right. So we push it through.
She kind of just gasps at all the, like, doesn't let the scream out, but you can hear kind of.
So, Griveth, are you doing this, or is it kind of Vi and Griveth working together?
I was just helping her, and she's doing the tending. I'm just getting the arrow out.
Yeah, I think that while Griveth is pushing the arrow out, Vi would be quickly taking some roots and berries and kind of mashing them up, preparing a salve.
Griveth, at advantage, just give me a medicine check.
Talmud is actually covering Meepo's eyes. And when he sees Vi doing this, he whispers over to him, "She's going to make her eat this. You watch."
16.
You are able to get the arrow pushed through and out the other side of her arm without doing any additional damage to her. The arrow's out, Vi, if you're going to apply any healing, or...
Yes. Yes.
All right.
She is going to apply the healer's kit. And since she has the healer feat,
Oh, fantastic.
but when I looked at my character sheet, it was empty. So I have to.
What's going on with character sheets tonight?
So I have to. We'll go on. She uses that, but I just have to remind myself what the role is.
Yeah, because I can't recall that. I've actually, this is the first time.
I think it's a D6.
1d6 plus 4.
Nice.
Or you can use it to stabilize dying characters as well. Fantastic. I've actually, it's only the second time I've ever seen it come into play in a game. And the first time somebody's used it in one of mine. So awesome. Very cool.
So that's going to be 9 points of healing as Vi takes the salve and she just begins to pat it onto the wound of Cantriel. And then she also takes some bandages, which you realize is just some cloth, but she kind of packs it in to protect the wound. There. That should heal up with only a minor scar.
You have the touch of an angel, Vi. Thank you very much.
All right. So in the aftermath of this battle, here is what you see. There is a lots of broken and blunted arrows lying around. The 3 crudely sewn straw dummies that are made to look like almost like effigies of elves and humans on that far southern wall. The area that you're in now, on the other side of the wall, has a crude sort of... it basically looks like whoever's on guard duty uses this room to practice, as there's a fire pit... and some small iron cook pots sitting around here. There are 3 dead goblins. There are 2 doors on this side of the wall. The one on the west that Griveth struck with his morning star that the goblin escaped through. One to the north, and back in the other part of the room on the west wall, there's also a door. What would you guys like to do?
Can I look for any arrows that might be on the ground that are usable?
Most of what you find laying around are the goblin arrows are very crudely made. They're a lot of the ones laying around the ground are not very useful. I'll say you're able to retrieve the arrow that you shot from the goblin.
That works.
Which looks like a luxury arrow compared to these goblin arrows.
And I'll make my way up and over the
And there's just a few things laying around in here. Like I said, it's almost like a permanent encampment. So, yeah, what would you like to guys? Jeez, what would you guys like to do?
As Griveth never seems to be that interested in looting, right? He's not really interested in cash or things. But I mean, the stuff that the rest of them have found, especially like Talmud, have been useful for us. So it's good that the other people have their head in the game that way. But Griveth is he's holding the arrow that was in Cantriel's arm, and it has her blood on it, and he's kind of looking at it, and he looks over at Cantriel and as Vi's tending her, and he thinks, he takes the arrow and snaps it. So this arrow will never ever be used by anything else to try to kill somebody again, and just tosses it on the ground. It's just a ruined arrow, and that no one will try to take a soul as sweet as Cantriel away from this world.
Do I hear the arrow snap?
You do, yes.
I'm gonna look over my shoulder. Everything okay there, Griveth?
Fine, just fine.
You sure?
Oh yes.
All right.
He just does a little smile at you.
Jeremy, roll a d20 for me.
Okay. A 19.
That was a roll for for Meepo, so of course you rolled good. That was a strength check, as you hear another snap as Meepo snaps, picks up one of the arrows from the goblins, and also
Stop it, that's stupid.
and kind of grins over at Griveth. What about the rest of you?
Talmud is sorry, go ahead.
I'm sorry, I give Meepo a smile as he does it.
He just grins at you with those dragonkin teeth.
Talmud is actually going to kind of pat down the goblins. Not necessarily expecting to find much, but maybe keys or coin at least.
Give me an investigation check.
This isn't gonna roll well, is it?
Hey, ye of little faith. I got a 16 with the -1.
That would have been hilarious though if you didn't. Just proving our point. Yeah, so you're kind of patting down the goblins, and you find that one of the goblins, you find a silver flask, and you immediately recognize this to be of dwarven workmanship. It looks like it's worth about 50 gold pieces. And you can hear some liquid sloshing around inside it. And with that 16, you would also find on the other goblin a kind of rusty looking key. That's all you find.
He will take them both. The flask, he'll actually pop the top on and kind of give it a whiff.
Give me a Constitution saving throw. I'll just not saving throw. I'll just say check. Con check.
That's a 12.
If
it's poison,
actually, it's not poison.
It's a save though. So
a 12.
Yes.
You kind of just immediately pull your nose back. You don't really retch or anything, but it is just a very foul smelling vinegary goblin wine that they may as well have pissed in this dwarven flask to sully its value. And for all you know, it is goblin piss.
Right. Yeah, he says a few choice words in dwarven as he actually pours it out over the goblin body that he actually got it from, kind of making sure to shake it to get as much out of it as he can.
It's not nearly as strong because it's not immediately in your nostrils, but you can all smell that kind of pungent, vinegary wine that has turned smell as he dumps it out. All right. What would you like to do? You've got 3 doors, 3 points of egress.
Well, do we want to chase the one that got away or explore a different...
Yes, I say we chase the one that got away. It may be raising the alarm.
I tend to agree on that one.
Sounds like a fair plan.
All right, that would be the western door that has a couple of puncture marks in it from Griveth's Morningstar.
Well, west is best, I guess we go.
Alex C is calling party foul on Talmud for dumping out the goblin vinegar wine.
Griveth also does a small chuckle because he knows Dwarven, so he knows what Talmud said.
I love it. All right. So you're going to go through that door?
Yeah, V's gonna, or Vi. Not V.
Who's this bee you speak of?
There's only Cantriel here.
Vi is going to make sure that she marks the door.
All right. Griveth, were you the one opening the door?
Yes, I am. Just gonna bust right in.
You open the door and immediately find yourselves in a room that is about 25 feet across. It's about 20 feet wide. On the far side of the room, you can see another door. The north and south walls of this room are stacked halfway to the ceiling with very crudely made barrels, boxes, and crates. But there is a clear path about 10 feet wide. This appears to be some kind of storeroom. Does anybody here speak or read Goblin?
I was kind of wondering that myself.
I do, actually.
All right.
I don't know if it'll focus or not.
Well, yeah, I think we had established that at the beginning because you understood the Goblin Emissary.
Yeah.
You, as you guys are just kind of, you see all of these crates. You can see that there are some oil flasks, and you see that there are a few small barrels that have some crude goblin lettering on them that you can read, Talmud, and they just say elf pudding.
Yeah, Talmud's gonna kind of grab a hold of Griveth's belt. Whoa. Hold on. There's some strange things going on in this room.
We've got to follow that goblin. He's going to get away and alert the guards. We don't have time.
He's not in the room. It doesn't appear to be, so he's already moved on. But those barrels say elf pudding on them, for one. That's a strange thing. But there's also vials of lamp oil or something here. This room may be trapped.
What's elf pudding?
I'm not sure I want to know.
I don't know if I want to know either.
I think that Vi would cautiously open up one of these barrels of elf pudding.
Cantriel's backing away from it.
All right. You are able to kind of pop open. These are very crudely made barrels and crates. And you're able to kind of pop open one of these small barrels. And you are immediately hit with a pungent odor. And I need you to make a con check.
$22.
In all your years of tending to the wounded and the dead, you've smelt death before, but possibly never in the form of liquefied elf. Elf pudding definitely appears to be, basically pudding made from elves.
I think that Vi, she kind of peeked under it. She didn't take it off. She peeked under it, and as soon as she smelt it and saw what it is, she suddenly closed it and looks to the rest. It's exactly what you think it is, and just keeps walking.
Cantriel's like retching.
I'll say, yeah, how does that affect you, Cantriel, as an Eladrin?
It's horrid, and it's got me slightly panicked from it, and realizing the situation is probably very precarious for my type, especially if they're making pudding of my people.
The brand name of this elf pudding is Soylent Green.
Soylent Forest Green.
Yes,
There you go.
Soylent Forest Green.
Sylvan Green.
Oh, that's even better. I love it. Sylvan Green.
You suddenly see Griveth, sacrilege, and he loses. He's gonna lose himself again, and
no.
like and he takes his just Morningstar and just smashes his barrel and it just explodes. And
no!
Where he's like and he just runs for the door and smashes through the next door.
Oh no!
In this crazy state.
Well, I think I might have to have another bath now.
I don't think I can have enough baths after this one.
Okay. So you break through into this room. You just crash through the door. It slams open, and you immediately find yourself... You kind of run about 10 feet into this room. This room is 20 feet wide. It is about 60 feet long. There are 2 rows of pillars extending from where you crashed through to the west. Several torches. Let me make sure I'm in the right room here. Yeah, several torches mounted in crude sconces are burning around this chamber, filling the area with this just haze. The columns are made of marble and are carved with entwining dragons winding up them. They're actually almost identical to the columns that were in the long chamber, though this isn't nearly as long, but the long chamber where Yzdrael had her throne at the far end of it when you were in the Kobold territory. But in this room, you don't see anybody in here. But you do see, all along the north wall, immediately to your right, there is a door. Further down in the middle of the north wall is another door. And all the way at the far end, kind of lost a bit in the shadow, dancing around. But there's this haze, and there are torches, so there's regular light in here. You see another door, a third door on the north wall. A door on the west wall. And all the way down to that far end, you can see that there's a door on the south wall. So in addition to the door you came through, there are 4 more doors in this room.
But there's no one about?
There is no one in this room.
Okay, so you guys hear Griveth screaming in righteous rage, show yourselves, fools! I shall destroy you for your sacrilege! Ah! He's just going nuts. And, okay. So.
At this point, Cantriel's probably like hightailing it right after him.
So is V.
Okay,
Yes.
With no one around, with no enemies around, and when he turns and he sees them, he stops, and he kind of, you see him kind of come back to himself, and he seems lost, like he doesn't realize what happened, what he did.
V is going to try
Bye.
and... I'm sorry.
I'm having identity issues.
I kind of like the idea that Megan
I
is
see,
playing
like,
V.
The name.
Her and I are having identity issues.
I'm so sorry.
Totally fine.
Vi is going to try and knock Griveth to the ground with her quarterstaff. She wants to, like, I can just imagine she wants to try and buckle his knees and then hit him square in the chest. Not to do any damage, but just to...
Prone him.
prone him. Yes.
And you said you were kind of coming out of this rage, if you will, Griveth.
Yeah, when I see them, I'm starting to regain some control.
But we don't realize that, do we?
No, not necessarily.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna say go ahead and make an attack, Vi.
It's a 23.
That's a hit.
So you buckle him at the knees, and he just drops to his knees, and then you're gonna try to hit him in the chest.
Yeah, just to totally put him back onto the ground.
Go ahead and make another attack for that.
Okay.
I'm gonna say do it at advantage because while you knocked him to his knees, he's technically not prone. But that was a solid hit, so take that with advantage.
It's a nat 20.
So since you're not trying to hurt him, I'm gonna say that nat 20 gives you perfect control over the strike that you were trying to do, and you just you kind of come in and hit him. Well, you tell us what this whole scenario looks like, because that's your nat 20 in your action.
She runs just straight up to him without taking a breath or a moment. It's just whack at the back of the knees, putting him down, and then just squarely in the chest again with her quarterstaff, knocking him just down, winding him, and she puts her staff right up to his throat and just kind of pushes it. You need to control yourself.
They killed them. They made them. They liquefied them.
And what is you being angry doing anything about that? And you can see she is just getting very, very angry. Her voice is actually becoming more and more husky and lower, almost like some sort of animal kind of growling. And she says, "You could have hurt someone. You could have hurt one of us." And she's just breathing so hard. She's like, "How could you lose your temper like that? That is just unacceptable. You're lucky I don't kill you right here and now." And she is, yeah.
At this point, Cantriel, like, she puts her hand on Vi's shoulder and kind of just pulls back on the arm that has the quarterstaff on his throat. "And your own words, my dear, might be good for yourself to hear at this moment. We're all scared. We're all shook a little bit by Griveth's outburst.
The universe
demands
justice. It demands justice.
All right.
For what? What kind of justice is there? There's nothing. You either kill or you be killed. Down here, that's all that matters."
Vengeance for their deaths.
And likewise, probably the others you've just finished killing are saying the same for their own type of situation."
Talmud comes over and kind of helps Griveth back to his feet. "Well, I think we all learned a very important lesson here."
"Don't piss off Vi."
That amongst them, yes. Well, good work with your stick there. It's very impressive. Maybe, Griveth, there's a lot of people in my family who deal with anger issues. I know you wouldn't know it from looking at me, but it's actually kind of a familial trait. And, well, if you need someone to talk to...
It's not me. It's the universe.
Oh, I know what you mean. If you need someone to talk to, Griveth, I'm sure Cantriel will listen. And he kind of reaches over and pats Cantriel on the back.
"Aim a little higher there, dwarf."
Oh, that's my fault. Apologies. Felt like a shoulder.
She's kind of gonna be like, "Well, okay." We broke Jake.
That just got me.
I just need to learn to control it. The forces of the universe are strong, and I was just a simple soldier. I was never entwined with the universe like this. The gods, goddesses.
What is it that's going on in that head of yours?
The power that's coming into me, I can't control it.
You have to learn. You have to learn to control it, or else people who you care about will get hurt.
And it's going to start controlling you.
I will try. I do not want you to come to harm for my mistakes.
Now, can we all compose ourselves and regroup?
I'm fine. It won't happen again.
You said that the last time.
Talmud.
I did. I will try harder.
Talmud, you feel it's kind of been happening for a few moments. You feel a tugging on your part of your I can't think of the word for it right now, but the part of your armor. You just feel a tugging. You can realize it's been happening for maybe about 10 or 15 seconds, and it's become more persistent as Meepo is tugging, trying to get your attention.
Yes, bad luck. What is it?
I didn't want to interrupt you, but we have company.
And he points to the far side of the room, where on that western wall you see 4 goblins standing, 2 on either side of the door. And from the far western side of the room to the south, the door that door is open, and 4 more goblins are coming through into the room. And they kind of form a row across the room as these 8 goblins are staring you down. What would you like to do?
Leans over to the rest of the group and kind of out of the side of his mouth. Should we try to talk to them?
Also, real quick, I bumped you guys up by 1 domain die as Initiative Coffee Company subscribed with Twitch Prime, and I'm treating subscriptions also count towards the domain dice. So thank you for the subscription, Initiative Coffee Company, who was in our Dragon game last night. So very cool. Back to you guys.
Well, they're going to be talking with a kobold and 4 frazzled adventurers. What do you think the chances are here?
They didn't attack us.
Well, you speak gobbledygooks. See what they have to say.
Goblins, he says in Goblin.
I want to hear your goblin voice.
Be scared.
They stand firm. The 4 that are by the door, 2 of them closest to the door have their scimitars out and kind of at the ready. 2 of them have bows knocked and at the ready, and same with the other 4. They don't seem to really do anything other than you see a couple heads kind of cock a little bit as you speak in Goblin.
I am Talmud of the Geduan clan, and this is Gerta. He introduces his maul first. These are some traveling companions of mine. Some of them are a little unhinged, and they would really like to hurt you. So, I'm telling them to wait for just a moment while we figure out what it is that you might want.
Give me a... Wow, the first word that popped into my mind was diplomacy check. That's not even in this edition. Give me a persuasion check.
Enough, I have that.
But I'm going to make you do it at disadvantage, as you realize one of the goblins standing there is the one that Griveth missed and was in the previous room.
Well, In true Talmud fashion, I rolled 2 5s anyways. So that's an 8 total.
The goblin that was the one from before, and probably the only reason you can really recognize him is there's blood splattered on him from his companions. As he turns to his companions and just says, and Talmud, you basically hear that he is telling them that you're the ones that killed the others, that you are terrible adventurers here to steal everything that we have, and they will kill us all, and they will kill our women and our children.
You fired arrows upon us first, after we stepped through your nasty traps that you left just lying about. Very careless, I might add.
Give me another persuasion check.
I don't think any of us would bother killing your women and children, honestly. We certainly wouldn't make them into pudding.
You see Griveth like sweating.
That's 2 6s, so now there's a 9 on the table. I rolled with disadvantage again.
You rolled a 9?
Yeah, I'm a barbarian. So, negotiating is apparently not my strong suit. Surprise.
The goblin looks to the others, glances back at the other 4, and says, what you know is goblin for attack. So I would like you to roll for initiative.
I got a 3.
All right, hold on. Vi got a 3. Cantriel got a 20.
Yeah.
Griveth?
I got a 21 nat 20.
Nice. Talmud?
13.
Give me a roll for Meepo. Talmud?
You got a 10, so I think that's a 12.
That would be a 12. And... wow. It's not a good initiative roll for my gobos. I mean, they rolled great. Okay, so the initiative order is going to be Griveth, Cantriel, Talmud, Meepo, Vi, and then the goblins are last. I rolled a nat 1 on initiative. But you see as he says this attack, and you can all tell the sort of tone as you see them, and you can hear the tensing of the bowstrings as 2 of the goblins take a firm grip on their scimitars. What would you like to do, Griveth?
Griveth stands tall, looks at them, looks at the group, holds his mace, holds his morning star up, and says, "You foul creatures will no longer liquefy elves!" Ah! And as he screams in rage, he holds up his morning star, and like a power seems to crawl up his arm and flow into the morning star, and it bursts into a nimbus of bright light, almost blinding the goblins. It's like a little sun, like glowing, shooting bright light, and then he runs up to them, shouting. But I don't attack because that was my action. So I use Sacred Weapon. Yeah, Sacred Weapon on my morning star.
Which is turning it into a magical weapon?
Yeah.
Fantastic. So that's going to be Cantriel next. You're muted.
There's another set of 4, right?
There's the 4 that are about basically, we'll say they're about 30 feet away from you. And then there's 4 more that are on the far west wall standing in front of the door.
And Griveth's just run into the 4, right?
Yes, Griveth has run up to the 4.
Okay, then that's going to slightly affect what I was going to do.
Actually, you know what? I'm going to listen to Bill Allen, who's over in the YouTube chat. I want Griveth to roll an intimidation roll with that display as he ran right up on them. You're muted and blurry.
12.
So I'm going to see. Oh, okay, yeah. I'm going to say that for this round, all attacks against the goblins have advantage. It's not a true frightened condition, but you see them kind of take a step back from this fearsome display. Good call, Bill. All right, next up, sorry, Cantriel, you are up now. You're muted.
See, I was used to not being muted, but I muted because... All right, I'm going to cast Cloud of Daggers at the group that's farther away from us.
Okay.
Start doing some damage on them. So it's a cloud of spinning daggers in a 5-foot cube, where basically when they either move into it or on their turn, they're going to start taking 4d4 slashing damage.
So do you want to center it? You can only either...
Kind of position it over like maybe 2 of them.
So the only way you could do that would be to position it immediately in front of that door, because they're standing close enough that they're blocking that door. So you could get the 2 that are wielding scimitars standing in front of the door.
Let's do that then.
So then that will affect them on the start of their turn.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people don't like it, but I love Cloud of Daggers. I just think the sight of daggers just spinning in the... I see them kind of swirling around, sort of revolving around, plus the daggers are spinning. I think it's an awesome magical spell. It's like if they were Pokemon, it's like the first version of what ultimately evolves into the I think it's called Wall of Blades or Wall of Swords.
Yeah.
Which is just ridiculous. But anyway, so that is your action. That is going to take us to Talmud.
All right. I think I'm ready.
All right. I expected it was probably coming. You want to take the lead on this?
No, man. That's all you. Lay it out for me.
So we're going to take a moment and we are going to step inside Talmud's memory. As for a moment, the din of this fight seems to fade. And all of this just seems to... The camera, if you will, just sort of pans around close in on Talmud. And instead of the sounds of Griveth's rage and the magical incantations of Cantriel, the shifting of Vi as she prepares herself, the only sound that can be heard is the crackling of the flame on the torches along the sconces in this hazy room. And in Talmud's memory, we are in a small hut that has some stone structure to it, but there is a fire burning in the center of this room. There is Talmud sitting there next to the fire, and on the other side of the fire is what looks like it could be Talmud in 300 years, a very wizened, aged dwarf sits across from Talmud with something wrapped in furs in his lap.
You wouldn't be here if you weren't ready, Talmud. Tell me, boy, what thinks you are ready to be here?
Well, Grandad, I've been practicing, like you said. I've been doing all my moves. I've been lifting heavy stones, taking them from place to place. I've been training. My arms are ready. I think I know I'm ready. I haven't ever killed anyone or anything before, but I think when the time comes, I think I can do it. I know I can.
I know that you can do this, Talmud. But you need to know this, boy. There's going to come a time when you are wielding your weapon against your foe, and you are going to feel an anger boil deep from within your soul. And when that happens, you must let it take control of you. But always keep a part of yourself aware. You must learn to harness this power. And I believe this can help you.
And he begins to unwrap the furs from what lies in his lap. And you immediately recognize it. You have long envied this weapon that belonged to your grandfather, and belonged to his grandfather before him, and his grandfather before him. For over 1,000 years, your clan has wielded the maul known as Gerta.
I know, boy. You know what her name is. Let her know that you know what her name is, and use her to help you harness that anger.
And he holds it out to you to take.
He is filled with trepidation at the thought of losing himself to anger, but he accepts this weapon with astonishment. He kind of knew the moment was coming, but still nothing prepared him for actually receiving Gerta itself. And he silently just lowers his head in kind of reverence to his grandfather as he accepts it.
And as you look down this maul in your hands, you hear the crackling of the fire. You hear, as your hands grip the leather wrapped around the handle, you hear that sound of your meaty palms, the leather just kind of creaking slightly. And other sounds begin to swim into your hearing as you hear the sound of a human man bellowing with a rage. You hear bowstrings being pulled taut, swords drawn, magical energies, crackling fire, and everything of the present moment comes rushing back. What would you like to do, Talmud?
Talmud is gripping Gerta in this moment, this memory, and as he slowly starts to grip the haft of the maul, his knuckles kind of turning white, he's gritting his teeth. Okay, now is the time. Gerta, I call upon your strength. Help me to harness all that the Gaduan clan has to offer. Now is the moment. and the tattoos on Talmud, some of them start to kind of glow, and ghostly dwarves appear all around him, coming from both Gerta and his tattoos, as I am going to enter rage. I am a pact of the ancestors, or a path of the ancestor. So when I rage, the first target that I hit, these spirit warriors are going to swarm all over them. But somewhat similar to Griveth, Talmud is not really holy himself. He rushes past Cantriel to move to engage the other 4 that Griveth are engaged. And as he does so, he almost elbows Cantriel out of the way. Move out of the way, you fucking elf! You pointy-eared bitch! Move! And he kind of hustles past her and brings Gerta up in a big sweeping arc and is going to attempt to strike one of the goblins.
All right.
I am going to spend a domain die.
Even in his rage.
Okay, that is a 19.
Yes, that is going to hit.
Good. All right. So that is 12 points of bludgeoning damage.
You obliterate this goblin. What does that look like in your rage and with these ancestral forms around you?
So Gerta strikes true, and as I said, these spirits kind of rush forward and swarm over this, what's left of this goblin, kind of taking him down to the ground with their own axes and hammers. And Talmud just kind of wheels around to face one of the others that's standing next to him, as the spirits then kind of turn and look with him, ready to move on. I think Talmud is probably sprayed with quite a bit of black blood, and he just doesn't seem phased by it at all.
Unfortunately, Meepo is terrified by you. And Meepo just stands there where you were, quivering. Because you are not the same person that he knew just a moment ago. So Meepo is going to, for his turn, he's going to quiver. Vi. There are 7 goblins remaining.
Vi sees in surprise, in shock. She sees these 2 at once she thought were very mild-mannered people just suddenly break into this rage, to this anger, to this destruction, and tears well up in her eyes. And you can see her skin almost begins to ripple with this fur. You can see, and then back to skin, and then fur, and then back to skin. But she shakes her head, and she slams herself against the wall, and just begins shaking her head. And I honestly don't think that she would attack. I don't think that she could after seeing this. She would cower with Meepo.
First off, Cantriel, roll for your Cloud of Daggers damage.
Oh, that's going to be a 12.
What does it look like when your Cloud of Daggers shreds these 2 goblin guards at the door?
it's sort of like they're moving so quickly. You almost don't see them slicing, but you know something's happening because the cloud starts turning this vivid color of like this blackish tones, and it's sort of flying but absorbing it at the same time. And when it's done, all you see are the bodies sort of just left on the floor in this pile, and the blades are still kind of whirling away.
Yes, those two goblins are completely shredded. There is two of the goblins that have their scimitars drawn are going to. One is going to attack Griveth, and one is going to attack Talmud. Griveth does a. That's a +4. 19 hit you. He slashes in with his scimitar, dealing 6 points of slashing damage to you. The other one swipes around. Talmud does a 15 hit you.
Yes.
4 points of slashing damage. The one that was standing in that group right up by the front there with you had his bow out, and he just drops his bow to the ground, and I kind of want to see what this is going to look like. I'm going to give you both, Griveth and Talmud, an opportunity attack as he tries to run. You're both close enough and engaged with them. I just want to see what happens when both of you swing away. So roll attacks.
Mine's only a 7.
16 for me.
Talmud, in your blind rage, you just kind of almost instinctively swing around. Gerta swinging over the head of the goblin. But Griveth, your Morning Star, finds a home. Roll damage.
$10 points of damage.
You hit this goblin as he's turning to run away in the back of the head and send him sprawling across the floor, skidding in a smear of blood. The two archers on the far side of the room are going to target. The first one is going to target Griveth. The second one is going to target Vi. Griveth, a 9 is going to miss you. There's just a clattering as an arrow hits one of the marble pillars. Vi, does a 13 hit you?
Yes, just.
You take 4 points of piercing damage as this arrow hits you. Vi and Cantriel, you two kind of stayed back. The other two ran forward, correct? So, to your right, on the north wall, that first door, you hear as it just kind of swings open, and a figure comes running out into the room, and it is brandishing a club. It is a humanoid figure standing about 6.5 feet tall, covered in fur, as a hobgoblin comes into the room. In Goblin Talmud, you can sort of hear as he essentially says,
What is going on in here?
and then you all hear in common as he goes,
Oh, shit.
and sees you all standing there. And he is going to, let's see, is it going to be Vi or is it going to be Cantriel? It is going to be Vi. He is going to charge for you, Vi. Let me just double check his movement. I have too many sheets of paper here. Where did it go? Oh, there it is. It went off the top. Oh yeah, sorry, I'm talking away from the mic. He's going to run up to you, and he is going to swing at you with this club.
Would I get an attack of opportunity if he's running by me?
Yeah, sure.
Very cool. I'm gonna try and stab him with my rapier. And that's going to be a 9. That's a no.
It's a complete whiff as he runs
How
past
about
you.
I try it again? Why not?
You're going to domain dice it?
Yeah, let's domain dice it.
All right, so that drops you down to 12. Roll again.
Okay. Ah, I like that. That's a crit.
Oh, okay.
All right.
So yeah, automatic max damage. Then roll your damage die one more time and
8
add it.
plus. So it's 8 plus 7. So that's
Well, your rapier does 1d8, but you gotta add your bonus proficiency bonus it's max damage, your die damage, and your modifier damage.
Okay, so that's 10
plus
and then
whatever you rolled.
Okay, so then that's going to be. Do I add the max or the bonus again?
Nope. No, you just roll the die and add that.
So then it's going to be 17 total.
So you get you stick your rapier in. There's this almost Prince of Persia effect as you see the bugbear running past you, and then you're like, nope, that's not going to work. And then you strike true as you use that domain die. And you just feel it pierce in. But he's still swinging in. And that is going to be a 23 to hit Vi. That was a 19 on the die. Vi, you are going to take 2d8 plus 2. So you take 11 points of piercing damage as this club with its spikes embedded in it slams into you across the backs of your shoulder. Are you standing?
Barely. More kneeling.
I'm just double checking. Oh no, that's included in his attack. He's a brute, so he gets extra damage, but that was included. He only gets the one attack, but lucky for you. So that ends the enemy's turns as we are back to Griveth. You still have 2 goblins in your immediate vicinity.
Okay, Griveth, while he's fighting, when the one goblin tries to run, Talmud and I kind of face each other for a second, and our weapons almost touched actually as his just missed and mine pulverized the back of the head of the goblin, went skidding across the floor. As I turn to do that, I see this whole scene with the bugbear running there with a big club, and Vi kind of having a little bit of a breakdown, and the arrow kind of nicks her, and then the thing brings its club down on her and smacks her. I hear this horrible thwack, and I totally just snap out of this anger, this righteous rage that I flew into, and I was like, and this wave of sorrow just kind of washes over me. It's like, what have I done? I've left my most vulnerable friends to fend for themselves while I ran off chasing vengeance. What have I done? So I change tactics. I shoot a glance at Talmud, and he's in the blind rage that I was in. I'm like seeing almost a mirror of myself, back at me, and like, no, that is not who I am. That's not who I will be. And so like I turn tail on the goblin so they can attack me, and I'm heading back to Vi.
Okay, so the goblins will take opportunity attacks at you.
Okay.
That is going to be a 14 and an 8.
That misses.
Feeble swings. The one that rolled the 8, he's basically just like trying to. He's that one goblin that always tries to look like he's doing the most work. He acts like he's carrying the box. So he just kind of half-heartedly swings at you, but he makes like a big. But he barely swings at you. Cantriel.
Yes.
I would like a perception check from you.
Okay. That's gonna be an 8.
Okay. It is your turn, Cantriel. Or wait.
All right.
Sorry. Back up. Griveth, you turned away. Were you going to do anything else besides that?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
So,
Sorry, I realized I jumped over you.
So I'm running. My big form is. My chain is jingling. I'm running over, and I see the bugbear, and I am like, "You will leave my friends alone!" And I have my shield and my morning star, and unexpectedly I throw them on the ground. Okay, and they go. They're on the ground nearby, and I tackle this bugbear, and I am just getting him in this pin. Okay, now I am actually have a feat. I'm a grappler. Okay.
Okay. So what does that do mechanically?
Okay. That just means I have advantage on attack rolls when I grapple.
All right. So take your advantage on your strength roll to grapple him.
All right. 17.
So I rolled a 17 on the die, which would make it a 19. Domain dice.
Oh yes, domain dice. Sorry.
Everybody but Scotty seemed to have heard that.
I was looking at my character sheet. Sorry. Domain dice.
I'm looking at the window and everybody's shaking their heads, and Scotty's just going, "B, I wish you would have had. I wish the crickets were still going. That would have been the perfect point for the crickets we heard earlier."
Well, if we all quiet for a second, we probably could hear them because they're still going and they're louder now.
All right. So I will re-roll, and that's a 16, which still makes it an 18. As you slam into this bugbear, and when you hit him, you do succeed in knocking him away from Vi and Cantriel. You slam him into the nearest dragon-carved marble pillar. The sputtering torch above your head rattles in its sconce as you try to wrap your arms around this bugbear, and he's just growling pretty much in your face as he just slides his arms and just, no! And breaks your arms away.
Awesome.
So a little bit of a failure with a benefit there. Talmud, you're back over there by yourself. Nope, Cantriel.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Sorry. Yep,
Scooby,
I don't know.
Hi.
I have the numbers right here. Cantriel.
First, as a bonus action, I'm going to shout down to Talmud, "If you can hear me through that rage, I know you can do this," and give him some more bardic inspiration. By the way, I took College of Valor, so you can also use that to add to your actual damage, if I'm correct.
Yes. Yes, the College of Valor lets you use your inspiration for damage rolls.
Yes, so that's for Talmud. And then Bugbear's under control, correct? Ish,
yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
I'm going to move quickly over to Vi and cast Cure Wounds on her.
All right, excellent. Roll that up.
Okay.
Can you move the bladed daggers? Can you move that around?
I think it's in a set point, isn't it?
Oh, okay.
I believe Cloud of Daggers, once you establish it, it stays
That's
in
where
that
it
area.
stays. Yeah.
Okay,
It's not like hold on, I have to math. Okay, so that is going to be 7.
All right, Vi, you are healed 7 points. Talmud, you've got 2 gobos still in your immediate vicinity.
First, Chameleon Fam.
What?
Just, Chameleon Fam just gave us another.
Oh, I missed that. I was looking over at the other screen. Or no, it just popped up. I think I'm lagging on the chat. Another 2 domain dice from Chameleon Fam.
So awesome, man.
All right, I need to have a Chameleon Fam
We need a Chameleon
animation that
Fam
pops
fan
up.
shirt.
Chameleon Fam, Chameleon Fam, Chameleon Fam. So yeah, 2 more. Thanks, Chameleon Fam, for that. Those Talmud domain dice.
Painfully true.
Yeah.
Okay.
Jeremy, you, I could barely hear you at first. You have this thing where your mic is it'll get really loud and then really quiet.
Huh. I don't know why it would do that. I don't know if maybe it's my connection.
That could be. There's no static that accompanies it, but yeah, you seem to be a little equalized out.
Okay. All right. So, can you hear me okay now?
Yeah.
Okay. So, Talmud is still just drenched in this goblin blood and not even seeming to pay much attention to what's happening all around him. There are still 3 of them in front of me.
2.
2, just 2. Okay. He is going to the one that he rounded on last time. He's just going to turn towards him and kind of make this growl, and he's going to swing recklessly. That is a 19.
That hits.
All right. That's 10 and 5 is 15 points of bludgeoning damage.
You swing Gerta around just in this massively reckless arc. And as far as you can tell, with the strength and the fury of your ancestors, you, for a moment, you don't think you hit anything. But the goblin head, half of it caved in, comes rolling and skittering across the floor to land at Vi and Cantriel's feet. The body, now headless, collapses in front of you, Talmud.
And Talmud screams out, "That's right, you little green bastards! Get what's coming to you!"
All right. And I'm going to... nope, hold on. Oh, okay. That's what's throwing me off. All right. A sort of reddish blur comes just rushing past Vi and Cantriel. And you hear a familiar voice yelling, "That's right, you bastards!" As Meepo takes Talmud's lead, and the remaining goblin, he is going to charge in with his dagger. Talmud, roll the attack from Meepo. And it is at advantage because you are within 5 feet.
So that is an 11 on the die, so I think it's a 15.
Let's see. Meepo. Meepo the Kobold. This is where I should have D&D Beyond open. That's a +4, so yeah, 15 to hit. So roll a D4 +2.
That's 6 points.
Meepo charges in, and just like before, as he hits this goblin, he tackles it into it, and it kind of drops to the ground and skids, and you just see a flash and arcs of black blood as he's stabbing in again and again and again, and he keeps going, "You bastard! You bastard! You bastard!"
Talmud looks over at him, and at first, like he's gonna like say something really demeaning and harsh. You're all right. Speak with me.
And it is Vi's turn.
Vi is kind of lost right now. She's very injured, and everything is just swirling around her. And I think she's kind of crouched from where this thing had kind of brought her down to her knees. And I think she is going to try and just make herself smaller, going further into herself. And she slowly just begins to rub her arms. And you see this bark-like substance just kind of ripple across her skin, up her neck, to her head, and she's cowering, but you see the sheen of this strength around her, and she's casting bark skin on herself.
Excellent. That was why. The bugbear is going to attempt to drive his club up in like an uppercut maneuver against you, Griveth, since you're so close on him. But because you are so close on him, as he goes to bring it up, you're pressing in on him too much, and he just can't get up. I rolled a 2 on the die. It's like a 6 total. So he can't even get that up there. The 2 more goblins that are on the far side and have their bows. We got 4 targets. So first they are attacking Cantriel. Oh no, they are both firing on Cantriel. Just in case anybody's wondering, I roll a d4 to determine who's getting hit. So that first one is going to be an 11, Cantriel. I think that misses you. The second one is a 13. Does that hit you? So you hear this whistle just shing as an arrow sings past your head, and just as you kind of glance to see this arrow going past you, you feel the familiar sting of an arrow in your other. Let's see where this arrow hits you. It slams into your left thigh for 7 points of piercing damage. I would like it's definitely not going to be Talmud or Meepo. Griveth, Cantriel, and Vi at disadvantage. Everybody make a perception check.
Got a 13.
14.
8. And I had a crit on the other one.
Griveth, you're the... Wait. Vi was the only one rolling at disadvantage.
Oh, I thought it was all of us.
Nope, just Vi.
Should I re-roll?
So the rest of you were rolling straight, so whatever your first roll was.
Well, it was going to be a 20.
So, okay, then you're good. Vi, no. Griveth, what do you got?
I got a 17.
Cantriel and Griveth. You notice that it's just mostly because of your positioning that you notice that that door that opened to the north, that first door that the bugbear came out from, and you Griveth, you see this as you have this bugbear kind of pressed up against this. You catch sight of a little bit of movement from that room. And Cantriel, you also, as this arrow strikes you, and you just kind of grimace, you glance over, and at the same moment, you see this little bit of movement. The room that you're looking into, you can see it opens up a little ways. You can't, in the heat of the moment, you can't tell how big the room is, but you can see a curved wall, and you see trophies on the wall. A trophy of a kobold head, a giant rat head, an aurochs head. You see broken tables, and it's from one of these overturned tables. The little bit of movement that you caught as you see peering over the table, watching you, and suddenly ducking back behind the head of a white dragon wormling. And that's where we're going to end tonight.
Of course.
Griveth just took you guys on a rampage. You got further into this dungeon area than I expected you to, because of how cautious you guys have been playing everything. I'm a little disappointed because I was going to call the next episode Dungeons, and then the one after that I figured would be when you'd hit the dragon, and I was going to call it And Dragons. But at any rate, yes. Griveth and Cantriel, in the heat of this dwindling battle, you believe you have just spotted the missing dragon wormling Kelsrix in this far room. Wow. I love what I wanted to do is award each of you a point of inspiration. I do allow inspiration to stack, so if you already have inspiration, that's fine. No, the Hobgoblin is not down. So we actually left off here kind of in in the heat of battle. It's still winding down. But yeah, I love this as you guys leveled up to level 3. This is where all of your classes open up. Their primary features, your subclass features start to kick in. And everybody just phenomenal RP across the board with everything, as usual, from you guys. So, I would like to go around the room, and this time, I think last time I made you guys just tell me what your favorite fruit was. This time we'll keep it a little more serious because you did have a chance to do some cool RP. I want to first off, I want to thank the audience again, as usual, every week. Chameleon fam, as I said in the chat, we are all Chameleon fam. We appreciate the constant domain dice donations, as well as the one from the sub from Initiative Coffee Company, and Jason T, D&D DM early on dropped 500 bits for another domain die. Which you guys are, Talmud, using to great benefit. And I love, you guys have them available as much as you want to use them, but you guys are letting certain moments happen, which I think is cool. So maybe playing a little bit safe with those. You never know when you may need a cache of domain dice. But yeah, I definitely want to thank our audience. We have unprecedented audience involvement. And as you've seen, if you've been watching this game, we don't mind talking to you and taking your suggestions during the game. So, and of course, a tremendous thank you to Scotty, Megan, V, and Jeremy for just playing in this campaign. Thursday nights are, I think we all look forward to them quite a bit for this game. I wasn't having a terrible day, but I wasn't having a great day. But now I know it's going to end wonderfully from this session. So I'm going to go around the room here, let you all plug what you want to plug. Tell us where we can find you on the YouTubes and the social medias. And just any parting words, whatever you want about the session or the campaign or anything. And we'll go to Scotty first this time. Muted.
Yep. The darn mute button. My nemesis.
Or
One
is
day
it,
I will master you.
or is that the being from which you draw your celestial power?
I hope not, because no one will hear me.
It's called the vow of silence.
Yes. Hey guys, I'm DM Scotty. I love to make terrain, and I love to do it cheaply and with junk, and it's fun. We use it for our D&D games, but I also love games like this where it's totally theater of the mind. And in my own games, I do a lot of theater of the mind. I don't use terrain for everything. Like in cities and that kind of thing, I don't always lay out everything. I don't lay out every dungeon hall, every room. Just ones that might have an encounter or something. So yeah, I do a lot of theater of the mind myself. But yeah, the game has been great. Oh yeah, sorry, I'm DMsCraft. If you want to make terrain for your table, check out the DMsCraft. You type it in any browser, you'll find me on YouTube, and we have the Tabletop Crafters Guild, which is on Facebook. You can find that easily too. And yeah, this game has been great. It's just been so fun. I love that it's not this game really has been about like the group dynamic and not playing your character meta game optimally, and I think we're all in that kind of mindset that we're playing that way. And I don't know. It feels less like a game and more like a story that we're all making. So that's great, and definitely not every group is like that. Not every group will play suboptimally just to make a great story. And Jake, wow, you and Jeremy with the rage, the going back to the memory. You guys killed it. Like that was a shining moment of this game, and thank you both of you for doing that. That was amazing to witness, the two of you playing off each other. So wow, yeah.
That was thank you, Scotty. That was literally Jeremy just saying, "Hey, when I rage, I want to do a flashback. Can you be my grandpa?" That was the extent of how we planned it. Wow. I thought he was going to lead into it, and when he threw it to me, I was like, "Wait, what? Oh yeah, I guess I'm the DM. I can probably make up a scene." So yeah, I mean that was only planned insofar as he said he wanted to do a flashback scene.
Wow, yeah, you guys just knocked it out of the park. Just great.
I love flashbacks.
Yeah.
I highly encourage players and DMs to use those in their games.
Right. And it doesn't all have to always be about what the character is doing right this second. Right. It's not like I'm doing this and I'm doing this, and okay, I'm done. That's it. You can have your thoughts and memories, flashbacks, all that kind of stuff. Bring all that into the game. It really adds to the game. And wow, you could have just said, okay, I rage and blah blah blah, and that would have been fine. But wow, that that was a rage. What I'm saying? Like that made it so much more special, and like I'm gonna remember that forever. What I'm saying? Like like that was great. The way the grandpa and the spirits and the Goethe and all that stuff. Yeah, thank you guys for doing that. That was amazing. Sorry, I'm rambling on.
I appreciate that, Scotty. I think that's something that it's a great tool for DMs and players to use to kind of take things cinematically. You guys have noticed I use camera movements and things because it's something we're all familiar with, to kind of move through scenes. And I have in previous one-shots, and even Megan can tell you in some of the other campaigns I run, I will show you things that you as characters don't see. But think about it in a TV show where sometimes you'll see what the villain is doing. Or in this case, we as an audience, we as the people viewing the game, we learn something about what's driving Talmud that you wouldn't get to see if we just say, okay, I'm gonna rage. That gives me my +2 to attack and +2 to damage, which is fine. But it's definitely something to consider. So yeah, and with that, I'm gonna jump kitty corner since we're bouncing off of that, and then we'll go down to Jeremy.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, everybody. I am Jeremy. I run the YouTube channel, The Erasmus Expeditions, and where I have live plays and videos about crafting and talking about RPGs, things of that nature. I'm also 1/3 of the Dudes of Your podcast, where we talk about RPGs with my buddies Jeff Doty and Chad Nick. You can find us on YouTube as well. Playing Talmud is just so much fun because he goes against the grain as a barbarian, and I really like playing characters who are kind of like that, who kind of catch you off guard a little bit. I was looking and waiting for the right moment to rage with him because I didn't want it to just be a typical game mechanic. And then whenever I took the path of the ancestors, I was like, yeah, that's the one. So yeah, I'm having a blast playing with this group, and the fact that I can do stuff like that and not have players bitch at me about not not being the best barbarian that I can be, especially God with my rolls. What the hell? I do want to apologize to V for going off on Cantriel. Hopefully, it'll have some explanation next time. And
yeah, I can't wait to see how Cantriel's once the fight dies down. What Cantriel has to say about you calling her a what was it, a pointy-eared bitch?
Yeah, I believe that was it. Yeah, yeah, she's gonna roast me, which would be great. So yeah, I love this game. I look forward to this every week, and I've never been in a game where the audience was so involved in what was going on, and the feeling in the chat is so electric every week. It's addicting, honestly. So thank you to the players, thank you to the audience, and most of all, thank you, Jake, for letting me be a part of this.
And with that, we'll jump straight up to V.
Hi. So yeah, I have the YouTube channel, The Crafting Muse, where you can check out how to make terrain, paint minis, game accessories, things like that. I'm also very active over on Twitter, so you can always jump over there and see what I'm up to, especially as myself as a terror muffin, one of 3 people where we get up to little antics here and there. And again, we're doing that fundraiser for the month of October for Domestic Violence National Awareness Month type of situation. I'll put the link into the chats when I'm done speaking. And again, if you purchase one of these bits of merchandise, any profit from this merchandise is being donated to a local group in my area that helps women who are in these situations where they're trying to get out. Really wonderful, well-run group. Highly recommend them. So that's going on. And then something going on with myself and Scotty in the month of November from the 9th to 11th is Mace. It's a convention in Charlotte, North Carolina. You can come down and you can meet us. We're going to be playing a couple of games. I'm doing a couple mini lessons. Scotty's running a couple of games as well. Wylock is also going to be there, and he's going to be running a game too. So it's a great opportunity to come out and meet 3 of your favorite crafters. Ta-da! And there's going to be other crafters joining us as well. I just don't have the official list and confirmation of who else will be there, but please do come and see us. Again, that's November 9th through 11th, Charlotte, North Carolina. So if you're in that area, come on out and see us. That's my plug. I'm done. I promise. In terms of what I loved about tonight, I think it was just seeing these glimpses into the psyche of 3 of our group members and their characters. And I think Cantriel's just kind of sitting there going like, what the fuck is going on with these people? At this point.
That's awesome.
So I'm kind of interested to see how this is going to play out, because I think she's feeling a little like, no man ends an island, but damned if I'm the only one keeping them afloat.
Oh, man. And you mentioned Wylock. Wylock did pop in for a little while. I don't know if he's still there. But yeah, Bill was in here for a little bit. Bill, actually, Wylock kind of is responsible for why you're seeing so much of V on MTD. He paired myself, V, and James and John from Dungeons and Glue Sticks and what is it? I always forget what James.
Terrain engineering.
Terrain engineering, yes. And then Scotty came in as a surprise villain in there. And so after that, I was like, hey, you guys want to play? And then I really like V's style. V gels with all of us really well, and I like playing with her. So that's why this is the third time this week you've seen her in a game on my channel.
This is my fourth game this week.
V is rapidly giving Megan a run for her money for MTT seniority. Though I think Megan by far has the most seniority of guest appearances on the Mini Terrain Domain channel. So with that, Megan.
Hi, I'm Megan. I am one half of the YouTube channel Dice on Ice, and yeah, it was very fun for Megan, very terrifying for Vi. So I think that means it was a good session. But yeah, no, it's so cool. It's very interesting to see that there is a kind of a commonality among the players and kind of their backgrounds a little bit, which is really, really interesting because no one knew anything about anything in terms of that. So that's really, really interesting how it's all kind of meshing together like that. And it's so cool. And I'm really excited to see, because I love character interaction and the backstory and all that. So I'm super looking forward to see how that kind of gets brought to the forefront. So, yay. So,
thank you, all of you, for those thoughts. Wylock is still here. He says you guys are dedicated. So that is a high compliment from Wylock's Armory himself. So I have this habit I've actually moved away from deliberately, where often at the end of a session I reveal, well, that wasn't even in the module. I did this and I did that. And I'm kind of doing that on purpose, in part. I don't want to reveal too many tips and tricks. But I will say, and the reason I do want to say this is when you're running a module, and I run lots of modules. There are Mike Lasham, Mike the Piper, who's DMing our, myself, Megan, V, and we also have Big Bearded Nerd, Dwight, playing in that as well. Waterdeep Dragon Heist is his first ever module that he's running. So you have people on different spectrums of that. But if you're kind of in the middle there, or you never run a module, don't be afraid to change things on the fly or feel like you have to run it exactly as written. At this point, I just glance at it to make sure, I've read through it a couple times. I know what's going on in the dungeon overall. I make sure, okay, yeah, here's who's here. But like in terms of the number of goblins or where a certain goblin is supposed to be or where's the bugbear supposed to be, I shift those things on the fly. I will say this, the whole, what started a couple weeks ago was Splorch, when you found the first gelatinous cube. And then when you saw a similar room, you guys immediately were like, uh-oh, we've seen this before. There are no gelatinous cubes in the Sunless Citadel module as it's written. That was just one of those spur of the moment. It's written as an empty room. And I thought, I'm just going to describe it as being really clean. And you guys reacted to that. So, that's just pay attention to your players. The other thing that I thought was really interesting is the module explains in that storeroom that there are several small barrels that are labeled in Goblin elf pudding. It does not say what it is. And in my head, I'm going, is it pudding made by elves that they stole? Or is it made of elves? Real quick, I Googled elf pudding. First thing that comes up, Sage Advice. Somebody asked on Twitter, what is elf pudding? Chris Perkins responded, pudding made from elves. Goes good with halfling fingers. And so I decided to go with that. And it's amazing how that little thing drove the next scene. Because Griveth had such a visceral reaction to it. I expected Cantriel as the elf to have such a strong reaction to it, not Griveth. So thank you, Scotty, for taking that little piece that you had no idea, what it was, but you took that and just made it be a driving thing that drove you blindly into a scene taking away any, well, Talmud's trap seeking ability. Kind of the goblins knew you were in the area, but yeah. So that all of that to say, there's still lots of things I'm shifting on the fly, things that are at the end. We'll do kind of a debrief, and I'll talk more about that. But don't be afraid if you're running a module to shift away from things. I do make notes, because I'll also say this: there is no sliding wall trap in the Sunless Citadel in that room. I just thought, hey, this is a good place to put it. I actually envisioned in my mind Scotty's build from a couple years ago of how to make one of those. So you can check out his channel and see how to make a sliding wall trap for your terrain. But yeah, I just want to echo what you guys have all said. It's the kind of games that I like playing in and I like running, where I never try to balance encounters, like doing the encounter balance math and all that kind of stuff. I just do what's cool, what I think is cool, and I never want to restrain the characters and say, no, you only, we don't have time for that. Hurry up, just inhabit your characters, flashbacks, whatever it may be. Jeremy mentioned, getting yelled at by players for not having an optimized character. D&D 5th edition, in the very beginning with the basic rules, encourages having a flaw is one of the things. Personality traits, bonds, flaws. And the recommendation for awarding inspiration is if you play to those things. So if your character acts in a way that maybe, it hurts them or the party, but it's true to their character, you get inspiration because you're inhabiting your character. And that's what all of you guys are doing, is you're not thinking, what's the most optimized way I can stack battle damage and do all this stuff. You're doing what your characters would do, which I think is a big part of what makes this such an enjoyable campaign for all of us and for the audience to watch. I threw it up in the chat there. I'm going to say it one more time before we get out of here. Chat, both on YouTube and Twitch, we love you. How do you do that? I don't ever do this. The heart hands. Big hearts to all of you guys. Because so many of you come in at the start and you stay with us for the entire couple hours that we're here. And it just means a lot to us. We would still do this if nobody was here and we would have this level of fun. I just think it's great that other people get to see it. I've already seen that Chameleon Fam loved the flashback idea and is going to incorporate that in their own games at home now. So, hey, there's something cool to come from that. So, yeah, so with that, it is 11:30 here in Michigan. We are going to bid good night to you, the audience. I'll say good night to the players until next week. Be sure, if you haven't already, hit that follow button on Twitch. Consider using your linked Amazon Prime account to get a free Twitch Prime subscription. Or if you want to drop the $5 and subscribe at Tier 1, that's cool too. Also on YouTube, be sure to subscribe to the channel. We are pushing towards 10,000. We're at around 8,300, getting close to that. When we do hit 10,000 subscribers, whenever that may be, something awesome is going to happen. When I get into that last, once I cross 9,000, I will actually start promoting for that. But the big benefit to hitting the subscribe button and hitting that little chime is you get notified when I go live. Because guess what? On Sunday night, not this Sunday because of Canadian Thanksgiving this weekend, but the following Sunday, we will resume Jolt of Personality with some interesting changes and additions with episode 29. Monday will be episode 2 of our All That Glitters Waterdeep Dragon Heist campaign, where you can see me, Megan, V, Big Bearded Nerd, and DM'd by Mike Lasham. And again, next Thursday will be another episode of the Sunless Citadel. Also, mark your calendars for Halloween night. I am running a Kids on Bikes RPG Jack-O-Lantern, The Legend of the Pumpkin Face Killer, with some individuals that I have gathered from Facebook and Twitter. And Megan is actually going to be a player in that game. Surprise! So, lots of great stuff happening on Mini Terrain Domain, and I just thank everybody for the support and tuning in to watch it. So we are going to head out of here. But before we do, we're going to end the way we end every stream. Say it along with me if you want. Omitted.